And relationships, I mean, are relationships important if you want to have success in your life?
Yeah, I think relationships are the foundation of a lot of success. I think at the end of the day, you can have the money, the accolades, the recognition, but it's pretty empty at the end of the day if you don't have the support, the love, the community. I think that you'll people find quickly that it's not in the things that we're told, that those things can help and those things are great, and there's not like materialism is great. We're here to like experience it, enjoy it. There's no shame about it, but I think that there's a lack of substance if it's not combined with who we're building our lives with, who we're sharing things with at the end of the day. And I think we all kind of get to experience the lack of things when we think it's in something more superficial.
Yeah, I mean, relationships, in my opinion, are, I mean, it is the foundation of everything that I've ever done in my life. Is, every day I get up and I just think to myself, what relationship could I build today? What new person can I meet and have a relationship with, just to connect? And it could be as small as, hey, I believe in you. I tell my agents, I have a financial organization, about 1,500 licensed agents, 55 locations. And I tell them, as when I'm training them, I always say that every day, make sure you tell somebody that you believe in them. Tell
Mm.
somebody that you think they're special, because I believe that every single person on this planet, whether they admit it or not, we all need somebody to say, I believe in you. And I think you're special. I think you're different. I think you're going to be somebody. I think that you're going to have success in your life. And it's just because it could be, we've all heard those stories of that one teacher, that said that one
Mm.
thing to that student when they were in the third grade, and then they ended up becoming a billionaire because of that one teacher, that one, little comment that the teacher made. And then on the flip side, right, you hear about those kids that, that they fail and burn and they have a horrible life because of why? Because of what the teacher said, right? They said you're going to be nobody and you're never going to amount to anything and blah, blah. And so I think it's so important that we breathe life into other human beings, constantly breathing life into other people. And I think, having empathy for what people are going through is really, really important. As long as we don't, as long as we're not so empathetic that we tell people just what they want to hear, because sometimes people need to, they need you to tell them what they need to hear, not always what they want to hear. And sometimes I think, empathy, yes, it's very, very important, but sometimes we can be so empathetic that we're like, oh, don't worry about it, you're okay, don't, I know you screwed up 14 times and you keep doing the same mistake over and over again, but don't worry about it, nobody's going to care. And then you go, well, wait a minute, now you're like just trying to appease the person, or now you're just, you're putting them, you're keeping them in that cycle, versus saying, all right, wake the fuck up, you got to get your shit done. There needs to be some major changes in your life. If you don't change now, your life's not going to turn out the way you want. So I don't know. What do you think about all that? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think being a true leader is knowing how to hold people accountable. And you also want to see people in their power, right? So if they're doing something that you know that they're more capable of better, like it's important to call people out. Like I think holding people accountable is the most loving thing. It's not about tiptoeing around their feelings. Like you have to be able to shoot people straight. Otherwise, people aren't going to get anywhere. And I think that as a leader, as you know, like you have to have the balance, right? Because you have to encourage people. People need to know they're on the right track. You want to empower them, but at the same time, it's a huge disservice if you just let people walk all over you, or if you let people just get away with things that they can be doing better for. So I think you've got to find the balance, and it can be hard. It can be uncomfortable. Like being loving is very uncomfortable because love will tell the truth, and that can, you risk hurting people's feelings, you risk losing the connection, and you have to take that risk if you really want to create a team or build a community, or really serve someone in their highest.
I want to crush some limiting beliefs, and I need to know, like, give me a couple of tips on how I'm going to crush the limiting belief of blank.
The first thing, if you want to fucking smash something, action. Like you can blow steam through something just by taking crazy action. The thing is, most people are too afraid to even get started. So I think that's where you can reprogram your mind through a million different ways. I love theta healing. It's a way to kind of connect to the subconscious, reprogram. It's one of the quickest ways. But you have to remember, like, if you're dealing with a theme and you've been this way your entire life, it's not an overnight thing. So I think sometimes just giving her the space to be like, all right, here's this thing that I've really struggled with. I'm going to give myself a year, 2 years to fucking master this. And when we give ourselves a little bit of make it like a game and be like, I'm going to take some time and space and I'm going to conquer this. And I'm not going to try to like do it all overnight, but like, I'm going to move the needle. And I think when you can kind of be a little gentle, but also push the needle, it makes things easier and more fun too. But there's a million ways to reprogram. Meditation, theta healing. There's like a zillion different ways to do it. I think it's figuring out what works for you.
Okay, explain theta healing, because I don't think a lot of people know what that is.
Not a lot of people know what theta healing is, but basically it uses kinesiology to muscle test what your subconscious is actually holding through your own body. So a lot of people might think like, oh, I believe this thing, but when you actually go to muscle test it, they believe something totally different. So it blows people's minds to be like, oh, wow, there's a way I can actually check with my body, see what I'm actually holding. And then there's a way to clear it really quick, like instantaneously. And people find it's basically what I call it, like therapy on steroids. So people are getting results way faster because instead of working with that small conscious mind where they're trying to like reprogram through affirmations, it's basically like wiping programs and programs all at once, very quickly, gently, and then they can check it afterwards to make sure it cleared. So that's kind of the foundation of what I do to help people move the needle faster.
And for yourself, what do you do to stay so healthy and vibrant and and to have so much more energy? Because obviously you have more energy than most people. So how do you do that? And where does that come from? And what sort of practices do you have that are aligned in your life?
Great question. I think our biggest energy leaks are when we're doing things out of obligation, or when we're giving our power away, or when we're not surrounded by people who actually support us. So I think if you can eradicate most of that, you're going to feel pretty fucking lit up most of the time. Not all the time. There's things, but I think most of the time there's an energy drain, it's because we're giving our power away. And something that my illness and my recovery from it was being like nothing and no one is worth it. So like if you're massively giving your power away to a fear or what someone else thinks, like that person isn't worth it. Like, and just constantly pulling back your power, being like, that is not worth it. And like, but being really mindful about it, or being like, oh shit, like I just did something out of obligation that I didn't really want to do. Next time, let me practice saying no to that. So it's like really giving yourself the freedom to walk away from anyone and anything at any given moment. And I find that that's the greatest way to clog those energy drains.
So do you feel like when you walk away from a relationship, do you ever have guilt about that?
Oh, of course. Like when I really started creating a life out of alignment and not obligation, so much fucking guilt. Like I was going against all my programming when I started like going through like Friends Cleanse and like raising my standards. Like shit hit the fan, like your old life is going to cost you your new one, and you have to be ready to buckle up and deal with the backlash, the guilt, all the things that have been keeping you safe. You are going to risk like losing it all to become the person you have to be. And then what happens when you go through that breakdown period, you eventually align to like higher, more aligned people that are actually going to like support you. But yeah, moving from a life where you feel obligated and afraid to like stepping into your most aligned power, it's not an easy journey. Like you start to realize once you break out of that mold why you were in it in the first place. It's not a reason to go back, but it's just validating as to why we kind of hold back. Like once you get in your power, you start to see why.
If you like this video and you would like to watch another clip, click right here. If you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.